Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare हरे कृष्णा डियर डिवोटीज, आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है आज की श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में। हरे कृष्णा। सो टुडे विल बी कवरिंग हाउ कैन वी लिव अ सिंपल लाइफ which is filled with transcendental bliss, and that is an important lesson because we have this precious human life that we should take full advantage of through devotional service. Yes, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, all welcome in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we will be covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Verse 3. And before we get started, let's do the Mangalachan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiryet, Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha, Hridayantastohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam, Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya, Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtiki, Hare Krishna. Please join us in the recitation of this verse from Srimadbhagavatam. The verse is in 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 3. So we are continuing the lessons where the chapter is the Lord in the heart. So Lord in the heart is guiding us, and we have to understand that this human life is very precious and how we can dovetail it. Hare Krishna. So simple living and higher thinking, that should be the motto. And how can we realistically live that kind of life? How can we be eternally happy while living a very simple life and taking advantage of this human form of life and dovetailing it in Krishna's service, and finally getting spiritual bliss which is unlimited, never ending. Hare Krishna. So let's get started with the recitation of the verse. Atah kavir nam suyavadartha syad pramatto vyavasaya buddhi siddhe anyatharthe nayatet tatra parishramam tatra samikshamanaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life while in the world of names. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this translation, Shukdev Goswami is revealing to Parikshit Maharaj, who is actually, Parikshit Maharaj is fasting until death. So he only had 7 days, and he is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And Shukdev Goswami is revealing to Parikshit Maharaj that an enlightened person should endeavor only for minimum necessities of life. So what are the basic necessities of life at the bottom layer? Somebody could ask that question. What are the necessities of life? How do we sustain ourselves? How do we sustain this body? That's what it is. Because we are not the body, we happen to have the body. We are not of this world, we are in this world. We are living entities, Atma, right? Sometimes Atma is combination of the living entity, Jiva, as well as subtle body. Sometimes it appears in the Shastra as just Atma itself, or sometimes it's in combination with Mana, mind. So we have to understand we are actually living entities, and we have the subtle body and then the gross body. So the gross body is made up of how many elements? 5 elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So those are the 5 elements. And then there's subtle body. So subtle body is when we leave one body and get to another gross body, the subtle body carries us to the next destination. And who are the subtle elements? The 3 subtle elements of the subtle body: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Now understand that we living entities have ego, but this is false ego, thinking I am this body. In true understanding, what is ego? Because we all have identity. Jivera Surupoya Krishnera Nityadas. We are eternal summit of Lord Shri Krishna. Yet at the same time, we have to sustain the gross body. And in the human form of life, we realize that the necessities of sustaining the gross body is the same among all others. Even in the animal kingdom, birds, beasts, aquatics, everyone has that. What are the 4 necessities? Basically eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Those are the 4 necessities. So to be able to eat, we have to have food. Sleeping, we need to have a ground, on which to sleep. nice bedstead. Sometimes people look at it, but that's like we are in this material world. And we covered yesterday, last class, that this place is Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. And it is also sometimes referred to as Durga by the Acharyas. Durga means fortress, or in real sense, it's a jail for correcting our behavior. It's a correctional facility. And who is the jailer of this Durga, this fortress? It's Durga, the consort of Lord Shiva. Yes, the Mahamaya. She is the external potency of the Supreme Lord. And so she is guarding this. And sometimes people want a lot of wealth, people want a lot of name, fame, and glories. So they sometimes seek her mercy because they directly see her day to day. While Lord Krishna is hidden in our heart, right? And they see her means they actually get the results very quickly when they approach the demigods. But in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that people of small intelligence approach the demigods and they are indirectly serving me. And this is a beautiful example as we can relate to is when we water the roots of a tree, then all the branches and all the leaves and all the twigs and all the fruits and flowers, everything is nourished. So that root is Lord Shri Krishna. So sometimes people with small intelligence, they try to just, in the sense of serving the body, which is serving the senses, they lose their thought and they try to take help of demigods. And what is it for? For their selfish perspective. And we have to understand the minimum necessities of life. Yes, we are lying down on a nice bedstead while the dogs and cats on the street are lying down on earth. What's the difference? So we are first class, in first class jail, then third class jail. That's the difference. But both are in jail. We have to understand from that perspective. They also eat, we also have to sustain this body, we have to eat. But sometimes people, they eat abominable things. They don't think of simple living. They are running after name, fame, and glories, and they think that, okay, I will go to such and such restaurant where such and such chef will serve me such and such dishes, and I would be enjoying the caviar. But actually that caviar is really bad tasting, really bad. It doesn't nourishes the body, and sometimes in the name of nourishing the body they intoxicate themselves. What's the meaning of intoxication? You're taking in toxic material, you're actually hurting the body. But then, because they have poor fund of knowledge, this is what they know. They do not understand that there is nice food stuff available very simply that they should take. So again, this is in bewildered mind. Why? Because they don't understand. Eat, sleep, mate, defense. Mating is referring to entertainment. So how do devotees entertain themselves? Sometimes people think, well, Srila Prabhupada said that this whole program of Krishna consciousness is a program for recreation. We enjoy the feast, we chant the glories of the holy name, we dance all day, and we just keep repeating it, like serving the Lordship by hearing, chanting, and so forth. So, and then defense. Dogs and cats, they have their nails to defend themselves. We build houses to protect ourselves. Some level of security, but is there real security? So, it's very interesting that in this particular world, sometimes people then take to these endeavors thinking that they are living first class life, but actually they are miserable inside. We have seen many examples where a rich person we happen to have known of, we know of so many personalities, even actors, actresses, cricket players, baseball players, football players. Their life is miserable. They're getting divorced all over the place. The Tom Brady news and his wife getting divorced all over the news. We hear similar, affairs in Bollywood and Hollywood industry, and all those things are continuously going on. Why? Because they are not peaceful inside. They're trying to run after name, fame, and glories. And when they do not get happiness, because what are they doing? They are chasing mirages after mirages. And we understand that mirages means you will not get water in desert, but animals don't know this. So people with poor fund of knowledge, who don't have intelligence, they run after such name, fame, and glories. And in the process, they actually are losing themselves, and they're losing their mind, and they're losing this time in this human form of life, which is very sad. And sometimes people say, oh, all you need to do is take a drink, intoxicate yourself more. That's not the solution. You are actually hurting yourself more. Or go to a shrink, but they will never say, oh, you need to think, sit down and think about what is happening in your life and what's the solution. Open Bhagavad Gita and seek out the solution there, because solution is very simply given in Bhagavad Gita. First, to be happy, we have to be peaceful, right? Yet at the same time, those doctors and the shrinks and the psychologists, they say, no, you can't help yourself. You have to take help from a doctor, from a shrink, and your elders will have to guide you. And sometimes elders pick up a stick and they beat up the young kids and so forth, just so that they're thinking that this is the way to correct. And sometimes government does the same thing, not realizing the context behind it. They just look at, oh, I have to correct them by punishing them, not really understanding the context. And this is where Lord Krishna's mercy shines out in our lives, where we also have to, as devotees, take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engage in devotional service, and instead of taking help from a shrink, we actually surrender to a realized soul, a pure devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. Because that pure devotee, when we serve him, when we inquire from him in a humble mood, reveals the truth to us that this human life is very precious and we should not spend it just like dogs and cats. So again, that is the essence. We should be higher level than that. We should not be looking for pranamaya state. So again, there are different levels of happiness. So we need to rise above. And in this particular verse, Vyavasaya Buddhi comes, right? And this is where we also understand Bhagavad Gita. We covered in the previous class, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekah Kuru Nandana. So those who are resolute, their aim is one. But those who are not resolute, their aims, their targets are many, because they are just chasing one mirage after another mirage, and they are never happy. So what should we do? We have to understand we should not live like asses and dogs. When we say this, it is also, there are two beautiful examples Srila Prabhupada gives. In case of asses, a donkey can get grass anywhere. It's all around him. Yet at the same time it's thinking, oh, if I serve my master really nicely, then he will give me grass and that will make me happy. And what does the master do? The master is saying, this fool, mudha, ass, he is not aware that grass is everywhere. Let me use him in my service, and engages him in hard labor. And when the donkey gets little grass, not even sufficient, and gets the beating from his master when he's trying to do this hard labor and not able to move, the master just picks up a stick and beats up the ass. And somehow he is carrying this heavy load. And at the end of the day, after having carried so much heavy load and so much hard work, thinks, oh, let me do some enjoyment. And he approaches the female ass, who actually kicks him. Now you can directly relate to it. In the materialistic life, this is what is happening to people. They are going to work, doing very hard labor. And at the end of the day, they think, oh, I worked so hard. Now let me enjoy. And they come back to their wives, to their girlfriends, to the opposite sex, who actually kicks them. And that's the life of a donkey. So they're living the life of a donkey. What's the intelligence? What's the difference between a donkey and them in this case? They are just getting beaten by the master, working hard, and then being kicked by their partner. So this list is unlimited. And now people, they want to bring, for name, fame and glories, they sometimes go beyond their limit to get big houses. And they take on mortgage for that. Now what's the meaning of mortgage, right? Mort means death, and gage means engagement. So they are engaging themselves until death. And in this regard, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Ajgara Nyaya. The story goes, basically, this is from Chanakya Pandit. This analogy he has explained as Ajgara Nyaya, is where a mouse works very hard to make a hole in the ground. And after making a hole, the mouse is very thirsty and hungry. So it goes out to eat food. The snake quietly comes, gets inside the hole, and opens its mouth to the mouth of the hole. And the mouse eats a lot of stuff, packs a lot of stuff in its, mouth, in its jaws, and then it comes rushing into the hole, and the snake simply closes its mouth and eats up the mouse. And this is the case in today's world. The financial institutes, the banks, all they do is they say you pay us so much interest, so you are actually working for those banks, and they are the ones who are like Ajgar, taking away everything from people who are engaging in mortgage kind of schemes. And the list goes on, it is endless. And in this regard, Govindas has a beautiful prayer. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nandanandana Bhaya Charana Vindare. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nandanandana Bhaya Charana Vindare. Dulabha manava janam satsange, Dulabha manava janam satsange, Tarahu e bhava sindhure. What is he praying? He is praying, O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda. Who is son of Nanda? Yes, Lord Krishna, Gopal, which makes one fearless. So Lord Krishna makes us fearless, and he says to Arjuna that I will deliver you, do not fear. He gives this guarantee, he is giving this assurance. Having obtained this rare human birth, Dullabha manava janama satsange. So this human birth is very rare. 8.4 million species, and you can understand of them the human birth is paramount, the best birth, because we have a perfect combination of peace, happiness and distress. And actually the happiness that we get in the human form is, unless we are not engaged in devotional service, that's true happiness. Otherwise in material world it is only an abhas, it's only a spark in the dark, right? So again we have to cross over this tarahu re bhava sindhure. We have to cross over this ocean of worldly existence. And how do we do that? Satsange. So again, through the association of the pure devotees, of the saintly persons. Shita atapa vatavari shana yedinayamini jagire Viphala se vinu kripana durjana chapala sukha labha lagire. Both day and night I remain sleepless, right? Shita atapa, vatavarina. Shita is cold in winter, and then atapa in heat. Suffering pangs of this material miseries, right? And for fraction of flickering happiness, I have useless is a wicked and miserly man. So this is the life of a materialistic person who's thinking that I am working for my boss and he will give me remuneration. And the boss is thinking, what a fool, what a mudha this is. He doesn't know that to sustain the body all you need is little dal and do roti. That's it. That can sustain you. And especially when you offer it to the Lordship first and then take as Mahaprasad, then of course it becomes even more spiritually enlightening. And then Govind Das continues to pray. Ye dhana yavana putra parijana ite kiyache parati tire Kamal dal jala jivan talmala bhajahu hari padani tire. Ye dhana yavana. Right? So what is the happiness when it's related to dhana, wealth? Yavana, youthfulness. Putra, the sons, and parijana, the family members, the associates. What is the assurance of real happiness? The life is like tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. So lotus petal, lotus leaf, so it has a layer of wax on it. As soon as water comes in, it rolls out. That is the state of our life. And Sant Kabir talks about like bulbula. It is just like the bubbles, air bubbles in the water. It just finishes so fast. So what should we do if the life is so short? We should serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. Now somebody would say, okay, how do I serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. So Govindas ji, he gives the solution as well. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasya Re Pujana Sakhi Jana Atma Nivedana Govinda Dasa Bhilash Re. So he is talking about the 9 process of devotional service, that it is the desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 process of devotional service. What are these? Shravana, hearing; Kirtana, by chanting and singing the glories of the Lordship; Smarana, by remembering the Lordship; Vandana, by singing prayers in the glorification of the Lordship; Pada Sevana, serving the lotus feet of the Lordship; Dasya, by being a servant to the Lordship; Pujana, by doing worship of the Lordship; Sakhi Jana, by being friendly and as a friend serving the Lordship, again by having a friendly relationship; and Atma Nivedana, surrendering everything in the service of the Lordship. That is the Abhilasha. So when somebody says, oh, this looks very simple, but is it practical? Then we also have to understand that there are instructions coming. The Lord in the heart guides us when we take shelter. Srila Prabhupada was once asked that, Srila Prabhupada, it seems like becoming Krishna consciousness is very difficult. Srila Prabhupada said, no, in a moment you can become Krishna conscious. All you have to do is surrender. What does surrender mean? Not just that, oh, I surrender unto you. Kali also surrendered, but at the same time, to Parikshit Maharaj, but he actually was cheating in the process. So that's his nature. So we have to understand, when we surrender, we should not take to cheating propensity, which is one of the 4 defects of this material world. Cheating propensity is what the dealings in the material world goes on. But in the dealing of spiritual world, in the dealing of devotional life, we should be serving the spiritual master with the Lord in the heart, guiding us by engagement in devotional service in the association of devotees. Yes, elevated, exalted devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, the spiritual masters. And so, when somebody is saying, wait a minute, I have all these facilities, what should I do? Yes, then comes Ishavasya principle, that because of our past karmas, we have been provided various facilities, various abilities. We should not be over endeavoring to get those, because in due course of time, just like distress comes, so will the happiness come. Why should we become disturbed by this distress and happiness? Because they are like a wheel, it keeps going up. So when we go up, we are happy. When we go down, we are sad. We go up. And what is happiness and distress in this materialistic perspective? It is simply our mind telling us, this is what I want. When I don't get it, I am unhappy. When I get it, I am happy. This is the working of the mind. But when we follow Ishavasya principle, and what is Ishavasya principle? Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinche jagatam jagat tena taktena bhunjitam agradha kasasiddhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within this universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Yes, it sounds very much like the peace formula. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. So Lord, in Bhagavad Gita, he is revealing in the peace formula that he is the beneficiary of all the sacrifices, and he is the supreme controller of all that can be material as well as spiritual universes. So everything is owned by the Lord, which means we are also owned by the Lord. This body that we have is also owned by the Lord. So from Ishavasya principle, we learn that one should accept only those things necessary for oneself, which are set aside as one's quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. There is a beautiful example given by Acharyas. So if you are walking on the road and you find, 1,000 rupee note or $100 note on the road, there are 3 things you can do. First is, nobody is saying finders keepers, you pick it up, put it in your pocket. Now that is in a way cheating. Second is, you would say, I'm not going to worry about it, this doesn't belong to me. That is ignorance. Because there is wealth and you are giving someone else the opportunity to cheat. Then third one is, you would pick up that note and you will find out who it belongs to. And since everything belongs to the Lordship, you will offer it to the Lordship. So all the facilities that we get, the very human life we get, should be dovetailed in the service of the Lordship. That is where we should understand that the quota that we have received is, and the abilities we have received, is meant to serve the Lordship. And many people hearing this, they say, oh, karmane vadhikaraste. Lord Krishna says, karmane vadhikaraste. They forget the second part of the verse. Ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala hetur bhur, mate sango astva karmani. So yes, Lord Krishna says, karmane vadhikaraste. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties. But this too, when it comes, then it becomes very interesting. Ma phaleshu kadachana, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. So somebody would say, wait a minute, I worked so hard, I got this remuneration, my salary, and I'm not entitled to the salary? What do you mean? Because who performed the work? The senses performed the work based on your desire. So it was the body, not you, performing the work. And when the body performs the work, it should be owned by the master of the body. Who's the master of the body? Lord Shri Krishna. So everything should be used in his service. And never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activity. So we are not the cause. We have desires, but it is through Maya these activities have been performed. And never be attached to not doing your duty. Why? Because we have been given these abilities and we have to perform duties, but we don't perform over endeavor. We perform our duties based on our abilities and we don't do over endeavor. And so this is a very instructive purpose. And this perception that running after name, fame and glories in the material world is a phantasmagoria. It is air in the castle, simply stated. And in this regard, there is a beautiful story in the Shastras that appears. A king comes to know that a great sage has come and he has established his ashram just outside the town. So he goes to visit the sage and he pays obeisances. But he looks at the sage, he's thinking he only has one loincloth just to cover his middle part. And everyone has he's living in a thatched roof. His disciples don't seem to be very healthy. He seems to be not very healthy. And how are they serving? So again, how are they living themselves comfortably? So he says to the sage, maybe I can provide you some facilities. Are you happy? That's the question he asked. And the sage says, I'm very happy. See, my disciples, they go to the town for Madhukari. They get rice in the alms. And there is this tamarind tea in our ashram. We get some tamarind from that. We make tamarind rice and we eat very nicely and have very happily, and we engage in devotional service. At that time, the king realized that it was he who was finding the poverty, but from the sage's eyes, he was experiencing simple living, higher thinking. And the sage was fully self-satisfied and happy in his perfect arrangement from his perspective, from the sage's perspective. So this is a revelation for the king. When Upendra, Vamandev, he goes and meets Bali Maharaj. What does he do? Bali Maharaj says, what would you like to have? So Bali Maharaj is ready to offer. And he says, I need just 3 paces of land. Bali Maharaj says, why 3 paces of land? I can give you an island. I can give you a great kingdom. Why 3 paces of land? And he says, no, I'm satisfied with 3 paces of land. Vamandev is hinting, if you are not satisfied with what you have, you will never be satisfied with whatever you try to acquire. Because in this material world, there is sufficient facility for everyone to fulfill everyone's need, but there is not enough to fill even one person's greed. So that is a fact. And we have to understand this aspect from this wonderful example of Bali Maharaj and Vamandev. Now, immediately Shukracharya recognizes that this Vamandev is none other than Lord Vishnu. And he tells Bali Maharaj that don't give him, he will take everything from you. And you will not be able to fulfill your promise as well. Bali Maharaj was already warned that he will lose everything if he obeys this, if he fulfills the vow, if he tries to fulfill the vow. And yet, Bali Maharaj is Vyavasayat Bika Buddhir Ekah Kuru Nandana. He has, Kuru Nandana is referred to Arjun, but this applies, the principle applies for Bali Maharaj as well. The detail changes. He says, no, if it is Lord Vishnu, he has come to my home as a beggar, asking from me, while everything actually belongs to him. I would love to give him everything that he wants. So yes, Bali Maharaj goes ahead with this mindset, this Krishna consciousness, this mood of surrender. And the very first step, as soon as he says, yes, I will give you the 3 pieces of land, Vaman Dev takes the form of Trivikrama. First step, he covers the earth. Second step, he goes to the end of the universe. He says, where do I put my third step? I have taken everything from you. And Bali Maharaj is actually caught up by the Nagpash from Varun, and he's thrown into a cave. And later on, when he's brought, Bali Maharaj in the heart is thinking, see, Indra is so foolish. And even Brahaspati is not very intelligent, because they don't understand that everything already belongs to the Lordship. They want to get everything from me so that they can enjoy. And so, when Lord asks him, where do I put my third feet? He said, my dear Lord, I still have this body which I can surrender at your lotus feet. Please place your third feet on my head. When he says that, this is Atma Nivedana. Daityaraj Bali Maharaj says the example of the greatest mood of a devotee. So he is showing by his example that how can we be simply living and highly thinking. So again, in a simple living, we should be able to have the use of our time in Krishna consciousness, so the Lord in our heart can guide us. Similarly, we understand from Peace Formula, Surhidam Sarva Bhutanam. So Lord is our best friend. He's our such best friend that he keeps us close to his heart. Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. He keeps his devotees close to his heart. If the devotees are so close, do you think that the devotees would be suffering? No, there is no chance that the devotees will be suffering. So much so that in this example of Bali Maharaj, he is sent to Sutala planet, which is even more opulent than the Swargalok Indra gets. And Vamandev himself becomes the gatekeeper of Bali Maharaj's palace. Now this gives us an example. Ravan actually approached, trying to win over the universe. He approached, and Vamandev gave him a kick with his big toe and threw him across the universe. So you can imagine, such is the potency of a devotee. By surrendering everything, devotee wins the lordship. And once you win the lordship, of course, Goddess of Fortune is ready to serve you like a mother. So that is the mood of a devotee. And when we try to not follow this, of course, we can never be peaceful. Gyatva mam shantim richati. So as we understand this, then we can be happy. There is a beautiful story that comes in the Shastras. There are 2 friends, Premnath and Ramnath. Now Ramnath was a Jamidar, Premnath was a Haldar, a farmer. So both were very happy with each other's friendship. Even though there was rich and poor situation, sometimes people are connected through heart. Ramnath was saying, I'm always trying to make plans and I'm always having sleepless night. While Premnath, he seems to be very relaxed. He's smiling all the time. He meets with me. Whenever I meet him, he is looking so joyful. He is beaming with happiness. How can I solve this? How can I make him feel what I am feeling? So somebody gives him an idea. He says, just give him a chest of treasure, like little treasure of yours. He says, Premnath, I have a gift for you. Premnath says, oh, friends, they exchange gifts. Yes, what is the gift? Ramnath says, here is a gift, a chest full with gold, jewelries and whatnot. Premnath says, well, you are my friend, you are giving me, okay, I'll take it. Now Premnath takes it to his hut and he's trying to sleep at night. But then he's thinking, everybody in the village knows that I have this wealth and they may try to break the wall at the middle of night when I am sleeping or get inside the house somehow and steal it all. He could not sleep all night. So next day he said, I could not sleep all night. I have never had such a tough time, such a miserable time in my life, and this is only because of this chest of this treasure. So he takes it back to Ramnath and says, my dear Ramnath Jamidar, you are my very good friend. Yet at the same time, I realized that I lost my sleep because of this. Please take it back and keep it with yourself. So Ramnath understood that Premnath is very intelligent. Now a similar example was given to Srila Prabhupada, where he was shown a picture where yogi was presented a platter filled with jewels and money, and the yogi was putting his hand in the back, saying that I've got nothing to do with this money. Srila Prabhupada said, bring that wealth to me and I'll go like this because I will dovetail it in the service of the Lordship. So that is the true intelligence. When we find some loose treasure, then we take it and engage it in the service of the Lordship. So that is the true essence. And that is how we keep our life simple. And we engage ourselves in devotional service. We simply start with the hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Lord in our heart guides us, is waiting for us to hear. And we have to just turn away. We are engaged in this material world. Prakate kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha. Ahankara vimuddhatma karta hammiti manyate. Prakate kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha. So we are in this material world where the three modes of material nature, the goodness, passion and ignorance, they are carrying out various activities. But ahankara vimuddhatma. So again ahankara, the false ego, thinking I am this body. Vimuddhatma means like an ass, like a stupid person. And what's the sum total of all stupidity? Srila Prabhupada said it is madness. If one does not understand that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we have to engage in a devotional service so that we can make this life successful by going back home, back to Godhead. And that love of Godhead is love that we have to arise in our heart for the Lordship. So it's a giving relationship, not a taking relationship. We have to engage in the service. And so here we have to understand that everything should be dovetailed in Lord Krishna's service. He guides us through our heart and we can attain everything that we want, provided we are not being driven by our mind, which is constantly accepting and rejecting. We should understand that happiness and distress will come in due course of life because that's the nature of this world. Yet my time is important and I should engage in devotional service. So with this mode, again, Srila Prabhupada, he teaches us by his example how everything should be dovetailed in Lord's service, how everything should be used to carry out the spiritual master's instructions. It is by the mercy of the spiritual master that we attain all that abilities to be able to serve the Lordship. And that's why the bhav is dasanu dasanu das, the disciplic succession. So we have to take shelter of a spiritual master in disciplic succession, a bona fide spiritual master carrying out the instructions of the spiritual master. We can attain perfection because they have seen the truth and they can reveal it to us. Hare Krishna. And we can make our life successful. Gantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.